George Burke.
The Derby, where's the Derby?
Left the Derby
Everyone
home.
applauds now. Everyone applauds. Someone's going to read this plaque. Fire Chief George Burke Jr. In grateful appreciation for your years of dedicated service to the citizens of Belmar as a member of the Belmar Fire Department from January 1, 2015 until December 31st, 2015, your commitment to the Borough of Belmar and its residents is greatly appreciated and has all the members of the council, including myself. So congratulations.
You have anything to say, or?
Oh, no, just thank you, and it was my honor and pleasure to serve the citizens of Belmar, and I will continue in a capacity of a firefighter. And everybody stay safe, remember. It's cold out there, so.
Oh, next is our Employee of the Month. Very exciting. Tremendous job for us. Let's bring him up, and when he comes up, start applauding. So our January 2016 Employee of the Month, Ray Clark.
Match your flag.
Oh, yeah, fair play. All right. Ray is a dedicated, loyal, and hardworking member of our Belmar team. Under his tenure, many programs have been added and many existing programs have been expanded. Here are a few of them. Toddler Time is now huge. Summer Camp 2015, we're going to do it again in 2016. Walking clubs for seniors, which I think they had today. It was about 10 degrees outside, so it was nice to have folks inside. Pickleball, which I'm not even seeing on play, but they do it very competitive. Pirate Day, which is in its 4th year this coming year, which we do at the 8th Avenue Playground on the beach. And also the Belmar Youth Club, which has quadrupled in size. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of folks don't know, but he does a great job with as well. So sometimes members of the council come up with ideas. And Councilwoman Nicolay thought it'd be nice to have a New Year's Eve celebration for children. So, on December 31st, 2015, Ray spearheaded Belmar's first ever Kids New Year's Eve bash, volunteering his time and energy, and his wife's time and energy, to debut a great event for the Belmar kids. Ray is constantly dreaming up new competitions for Belmar staff, including dodgeball, basketball, where the council will be taking on the Department of Public Works again this year, and as long as the Department of Public Works doesn't cheat them. And free food shots. We challenged Ray in 2014 to create a bus trip program for families, and now he runs many bus trips a year to Broadway shows, professional sporting events. Last one was the 76ers?
Yes.
Right? People got to go out on the court.
We beat the 76ers.
We actually have to go on and shoot around for 45 minutes.
And we got to, yeah, and shoot around for 45 minutes. Did anyone actually make any baskets when they were shooting around?
Yeah, I mean, D, right there, he's got his hand up.
In addition to all the new programming, Belmar's recreation sports leagues continue to flourish. We have some of the members here with us as well who volunteer their time as coaches and as refs. So he gets $100 in Belmar bucks, spend anywhere in Belmar on his wife that he wants to. He also gets lunch with me, which isn't all that exciting. And he gets a hat back here. But most importantly, he gets his face on. Work out this weekend, there'll be lots of snowballs to throw in his face on the sign. So thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate everything you do. If we had a saint of the month, I think it'd be Ray Quote. So anything you want to say?
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. Thank you. I love this town. I love working for you, and I look forward to doing it for many more years. Thank you.
Next, I want to bring up Christine Reed, and folks from the Belmar Women's Club. Now, does everyone have their copy of Belmaropoly? Anyway, Belmaropoly was the brainchild of Christine. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, what we did is we went around to different businesses in town, and we got them to buy a different square, all the squares around. So then we went and we sold them to everybody, and we were able to raise $7,000, which is
To different organizations?
Yes.
Are those organizations here as well?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, well, let's have you call them out, and we'll have them come up.
Fire department.
Fire department?
$3,000.
That's gonna help Bruce buy a pair of pants.
First aid squad.
First aid. Harry, how much back in the building?
Okay, now we have Belmar Troop number 40.
George, come up here, George. Come here, let's see who's taller.
That was $250 for the Boy Scouts.
Girl Scouts. I met
Girl
some
Scouts.
before.
One more time, please. Smile, girls. Love you guys.
Belmar Elementary School.
Well deserved.
I just want to say that the money that Belmar Women's Club will be used, Ms. Jean Arford runs our environmental club, and you hopefully have seen since 2011, part of the strategic plan, one of the initiatives driven by the community of Belmar was the creation of the community garden. And so the money will be used towards the sustainability of the community garden, and also looking at some plans for hydroponic gardening. So we really appreciate your generosity, and this is our program.
Come and take note of our 8 raised bed garden with the herb barrels all around when you're passing by the school.
Thank you. Belmar Cares.
So the ladies from Belmar Cares come up.
We want to give guys
I have to say that I'm a member of both, but I'm very happy to receive this check for $250. We're all breast cancer survivors. We support other women who have been diagnosed and in treatment with comfort kits. We donate to a group called Breast Intentions out of Middletown, who support women with breast cancer, both emotionally and financially, and also Mary's Place. So this is a real benefit to us as we continue to support people. We understand what they're going through because we went through it. So thank you very much, my fellow sisters.
though, I am honored to give these checks out. Really, Chris Reed did the work. It's a great job.
It was a lot of fun.
And we dedicate ourselves to the community, so we're very happy to be able to do these kinds of things. Thank you.
Our last presentation is going to be from our friends at Jersey Central Power and Light. who guaranteed no matter what happens this weekend, the lights are staying on. Does everyone know Kieran? This is Kieran, by the way.
All right, thanks for having me tonight.
So tonight's a good night for the Belmar Elementary School because he has a presentation for one of our teachers, Danielle, if you come on up. Danielle's full name is Danielle.
She Carolyn.
You were supposed to get that right. So you want to tell us what you have tonight?
Sure. Jersey Central Power and Light, we're an electricity distribution company. We try to support as many STEM programs that we can around the state: science, technology, engineering, and math. Ms. DeCarolis, I believe you tasked your students with building a city and finding a power source. Every year we get hundreds, if not thousands, of applications, and we have a limited amount that we can give, so we pick the best possible. And fortunately enough, we were able to support Belmar Elementary. So we have a check here for you for $1,000. Sit down and wait.
Yes.
I'm gonna give this to my boss, Mom. Guys, here we go.
Thank you.
It's okay, it's okay. Bruce is cool.
All right, George.
Bruce is one, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
And all joking aside, I do have to say that JCP&L has been a terrific partner the last couple of years. We've seen a tremendous improvement in the service ever since Sandy. Now we get regular updates on when things are out. I actually emailed a single light that happens to be out in Belmar to Kieran, and he's gotten on it very quickly in the last 48 hours on 9th Avenue. So please go back to your bosses and tell them thank you very much for the job you guys are doing for our community. Really appreciate it. That's it from us, right?
That's it for your special.
All right. So if you came for special presentations, now is where you may want to. Next.
I'm sorry. Hi. Let's see.
We can make one motion just to modify the agenda by moving on to the public hearing and adding that one.
All right, next is workshop. One item we have on our workshop tonight is a enhanced summer rental ordinance. This is from the city of Wildwood that some residents approached me on and asked that we take a look at proposing ourselves. It would, I think it would be an addition to what we currently have. I don't know if it necessarily replaces it.
Well, it'd be enhancing it, but at this point, I'm not certain.
This isn't on for first reading, it's just on for discussion. But what it does is it significantly tightens up restrictions and regulations on summer rental properties. here in Belmar. So I'm not sure if the council had an opportunity to take a detailed look at it or had any questions. But again, this has been on the books and while, but I think for 2 years. And it seems to have been successful there. And again, it was something brought to us by folks in town who wanted us to take a look at introducing it ourselves and seeing if it would apply to this summer as well.
Has our police department looked this over?
I don't know if,
Yeah, this has been essentially workshopped a bit internally with code enforcement. Our fire marshal and the police department has additional tools that could be helpful in reining in animal houses during the summer. Why we put it on workshop is because one, Animal House is fueled by statutory guidelines, and so the incorporation of any additions to it, we wanted to be very careful, deliberate with, and come back to you with the draft reflective of any thoughts that you all might have. What it essentially does is ties the issuance of a mercantile license to the operation of a summer rental. And that provides authority to the municipality where if an animal house were to violate their animal house bond by accumulating more noise ordinances or anything of that effect, the town would have the ability to simply not issue a mercantile for that property the following year. It's continuing in our existing theme of holding landlords accountable to their neighbors, to their neighborhoods by renting to responsible folks. But that's essentially what these additional measures do, to tie these two licensure, this new the licensure process of mercantiles to Animal House.
Right. It's good, because one of the things we've noticed is someone misbehaves and then they get a ticket, maybe they get 2. And on their lease with their landlord, it says if you get 2 noise violations, then you get, you get evicted. So let's say someone gets 2 noise violations by the middle of June, they get evicted, but the landlord keeps the entire summer's rent, and it can possibly rent it out for July and August anyway. So this actually makes the landlord more responsible party when it comes to summer rent.
For somebody that would get evicted and their money in the rent season.
I'm just saying that.
You know what jumps right out at me is this mandatory paid stay in the county jail. It jumps right out.
That's pretty compelling.
Yeah. We go to Mountain County. It's lovely.
How successful has Wildwood been with this? This says 214, so how were they with the summer of 2015?
They said they were pleased with it.
Yeah, the numbers of difference.
No, I do not have data yet out of my hopes about time to introduce.
Yeah. Any idea would, if the council is interested, we'll look to introduce it in the first meeting in February.
And how many of our landlords go all the way up to very close to their full bond, losing their full bond approximately?
I would say probably close to half.
So as you read through it, if you have questions, thoughts, suggestions, feel free to shoot them over to April and I and George, and we'll be working on the ordinance for next week.
Next thing on workshop, we have Nick Dakotas here from Mazer Engineering. And if it's okay with the council, maybe we'll have him come up, explain a little bit. It's a little out of order, but while he's here, not keep him all night. Come up, sort of explain the resolution that's going to be added tonight to award the contract for both 10th Avenue and the Taylor Lane to Epic Construction.
Sure.
So, as you guys are probably already aware, we took bids for the pavilion back on December 10th, and we received 3 different bids. Following the bids, we had 2 of the contractors ask to withdraw the bids based on mathematical errors that they had made in their bids. And the one complicating factor in that is that one of the bidders had made an error on an alternate bid versus the base bid. We were a little worried that whoever we awarded it to, that there would be some sort of legal ramification to that, because if we awarded a bid to the bidder that made an error on the alternate bid, the bidder that didn't make any errors would say that they shouldn't be allowed to be awarded. And if we made an award to the bidder that didn't make any errors, but we didn't award any alternates, then the bidder who only made an error in their alternate bid could say that there was, that they were due to be awarded the bid. Following some discussions with bidders, I received some correspondence from the bidder that made errors on the alternate, that he had talked to his legal counsel and that they are withdrawing their bid no matter what happens, because they do not want to be involved in any kind of legal back and forth. Based on all of that and the relative prices between Epic, who was for contract A, which is the one that we were recommending to award, and the base bid from M&M, who is the bidder that made the error on the alternate, we're recommending that we award the contract to Epic for the base bid, and following the award, potentially look to do some sort of value engineering with the contractor to see if we can maybe get some of the alternate work done by either extending the timeline or things like that.
And we've discussed this. I discussed it along with other folks at Mazer and Colleen. So value engineering is really sort of in layman's terms, you guys working with the contractor to get more out of them at a better price and get as much work done as possible for that price.
Yeah.
Because we, as you know, we discussed doing it ourselves, but based on the conversation we had, you guys thought that the value and the money we would save could be offset by having you guys manage Epic in a way that value engineering, for layman's terms, it's basically getting the most out of the contractor with the amount of money that's available.
Yeah, and there's different ways to do that.
Right, you don't need
Okay.
you to go into dirty details about what you guys do and how you do it. But does the council sort of understand that we would award the contract to Epic, and then Mazer Engineering, who's an arm of Belmar, really, manages Epic in such a fashion that they get more out of them than if we would have done it ourselves and the savings that we would receive. Does that make sense?
Will Epic allow Mazer to manage them?
That's standard for every construction job that goes on in town.
Yeah, they're sort of.
We typically will be involved. We manage the construction for every contractor that's out there. We have an inspector that goes out there, works with the contractor to make sure that they're building things according to the plans, deal with any kind of construction issues that come up, and also deal with any kind of changes to the contract, whether it's the contractor says, hey, you guys don't really need to do this, we could do it this way, or if the contractor finds something during the course of his work that we weren't anticipating and that needs to get addressed.
Right, but the most important thing for the council to know is that Mazer is going to look to get as much value out as possible. And we've seen this on other projects as well, where, and I can't really talk about it because it's in litigation, right? But there's another project where there was a negative change order, and it reduced how much we ended up paying the contractor, because during the process, there was the ability to reduce, to get more value out of what was being done by the contractor.
Yeah.
Any questions for?
Just one more question. Will this value engineering, getting more out of it in any way, because there've been so many bumps in the road on this whole thing. And I don't see it going much smoother. FEMA, as the gorilla in the room, as far as value engineering, will that jeopardize in any way FEMA money?
No, because we wouldn't be like, the things that we would value engineer would not be the things that are required to make it FEMA compliant. Like, we're not gonna change the type of pilings, we're not gonna change, you know, certain structural aspects that need to be there for the V-zone requirements and things like that. It would be, you know, a good example would be, you know, maybe we give them 2 extra months and that extra time for them to build it.
Okay, so you're going with a timeline as opposed to...
That could be one option. Another
as opposed
option would be,
to what you're building it,
you know,
standards.
so different contractors use different types of equipment or specialize in certain types of construction. So they might say to us, you know, hey, if we switch this to this proprietary technology that we have, we can do it for cheaper than what you have on your plans, that kind of thing.
And won't jeopardize...
No.
Oh, please don't.
He answered the question I had. Who has the final say? Let's say you make a recommendation and they disagree. I was just wondering who makes the final decision if you come up with recommendations and they disagree?
And the contractor disagrees?
And disagrees.
None of these things get dictated. It's a back and forth process.
And often I would say, you know, Nick is our agent, for lack of a better word. He's our engineer of record, so he is the one primarily having those conversations with the contractor. And it's not uncommon that sometimes it ends up in my office and we work it out. And then any final change order, positive or negative, in this case we're talking negative change orders, would be approved by council. So there is a structure to how these things happen, but what Nick is describing is exactly right. This is a collaborative process that would happen.
Kyle, are all our Ts crossed and Is dotted with the legal action of these 3 bidders deciding 2 pulling out and Epic getting? I mean, none of them will come back later and say, no, that's not what I said. Are we certain this is
Yes.
a go?
We are absolutely certain it's a go, and actually anticipating that kind of a question ourselves. We had a series of conference calls last week with a procurement lawyer from McManaman, Scotland, who reviewed Nick's case management file, the timeline, the awards, the bids, and have issued to me a letter concurring Nick's recommendation of award and the manner in which it was handled. And let me do say, though, that the reason why at our last council meeting we came to you with a resolution asking for authority for us to investigate building it ourselves is because we were at that time in that kind of legal murky area where we had a bidder who had not completely withdrawn, people could threaten legal challenges against each other, and that's why we asked for that resolution to investigate. Since that time, the water has been demurked, if that's a word.
It is now.
It is now. The contractors have provided clear expression of withdrawal. That has been reviewed by our attorneys, reviewed by our engineer, and you have a very clean award before you tonight.
So Epic's, now at this point, Epic's the only bidder, correct?
That's correct, yes.
How far were they as being the lowest bidder?
They're less than 10% from the lowest bid.
And they bid on the overall project. That was part of what I understood. They bid on both buildings, which is really what I'd rather see, rather than one contract.
Yes.
And with no errors in any of the bids.
You know, that's,
Yeah.
that you know, raises some, some warning flags. If they're gonna submit bids with mistakes in, what's gonna happen is start actually cutting and measuring. So,
I mean, the thing I like about it is and really, I don't want to say what sold me on it, but what's moved me on it, away from the idea of us doing it ourselves, is the fact that we will have maids with there, and when they look at it, they're able to work with this contractor and value engineer it to get more, more out of it than we're necessarily seeing up front. So I have tremendous faith in your ability and your team's ability to do that. That's what really sold me on it was the value we're going to get for our dollars and get both these buildings built. So thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Your release. You go put on your PJs now.
I like that stuff.
I think Ray was in. Next is petitions. Or unless there's any other workshop items the council would like to discuss, I'm sorry. No? Okay. Next, any petitions? Any petitions for the mayor and council? Nope. Okay. Next, approval of the minutes.
I'll do that. I have this paper right here that I can read. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on January 7th, 2016 be approved as reported, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Councilwoman Keeler Blackford?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes. And what was that for? Which day?
January 7th.
January 7th. I think,
Oh, I should abstain, I'm sorry.
yeah, for the record.
Yes, I need to abstain. Thank you.
See that? I caught it.
Yeah, you do, I'm impressed.
Could have had a couple lawsuits over this, you never know. Next, reports of council. Council President McGovern.
I'll go first. Thank you very much. Last Saturday night, I went to the fire chief's installation dinner. We recognized George Burr, the outgoing chief. The incoming chief is Brad Child. And it's just amazing when you go to that dinner, the last names of the people in that room are just like the cornerstone of Belmar history. It's just phenomenal. And I sat there talking to Bill Bush and Danny Moynihan, and you just listen to these people talk about Belmar history. It's just amazing. But the fire chiefs, the firemen themselves, really for the next year, especially the chief, he's going to be on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And it's all volunteer. And they love doing it, but it's still a very stressful job, not just for the firemen, but for the wives, the moms, the sons, and the daughters. When that call goes out early in the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning on a winter's night or a hot summer evening or something like that, when they rush out to a fire, it's got to be very, very stressful on the families. So I want to just thank all the firemen. Spent a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, but I am, and you're staying for this whole meeting, right? I am going again to sign up for the Valentine Plunge for the support of ALS, the disease ALS. It's like an insidious disease. It affects the body, not the mind. It's terrible. I had a relative that died from it. So this program, this charity, Joan Dancy and Friends, was started by my brother, and it's going in the water on Valentine's Day, the weekend. And so I'm looking for pledges, people that will sponsor me, because I certainly don't want to go into the water for nothing. So the mayor is still here, so I can't sign him up without his knowledge. But at the end of tonight's meeting, if you can just come up to me, I'm not looking for a big pledge, $20 or so. I get a lot of people, and it'll make it worthwhile. Going into the water, yeah, it's cold. It's real. The air's cold, the water's cold, but they do a great job, and they always have someone there that has ALS, and you realize it's going to take you 2 minutes, and those people are in that wheelchair, and there is no cure. And the money that is raised does not go to research. It goes to the families in Monmouth and Ocean County to make the lives a little bit easier. Chairs, beds, anything that can make the last couple of months for those people easier, that's what it goes for. So if you see me at the end of tonight's meeting and, pledge, I'll write it down. And it's, I'll ask again at the next meeting. And my brother, older brother Bob, he's 70, he's doing it too. I would love to raise more money than him.
My $1.
Do you think as an initiation, maybe George McGill should go in with you?
I like that.
You know,
Amazing.
I think Belmar should do something. We should have like a polar plunge sometime in July or August. I think we get a lot of people. That's
George will
my,
definitely go for that.
that's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kielwecker.
Well, I'm going to add something to mine. I came out and watched the polar plunge a couple years ago when Matt and Brian did it, and it was a great thrill to watch the number of people. A lot of the teenagers, it looked like a couple of teams from St. Rose, and they all wore pink bathing suits and went in. There were a couple of hundred people there going into the water, and there was snow on the beach, so it was very exciting to watch while I was bundled up. Last week was the senior luncheon. Approximately 98 people enjoyed food from Simply Southern. Rabies shots are being offered tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, the 20th, up in Bradley Beach at the firehouse, in the rear of the firehouse, between 5 and 7 p.m. I mention that because dog licenses are due by the 31st of January, and of course, your pet has to have a current rabies shot. So if you don't have one, I know I'm taking my little guy up there tomorrow night. The county does this, it's free. So if your animal needs a rabies shot, Bradley Beach tomorrow night. The address is 815 Main Street in Bradley at the firehouse. Winter's finally here, and it was great to see the DPW truck come the other night and spray just during the snow. And good luck this weekend. And speaking of winter, we do have winter walking Tuesdays and Thursdays here in the gym between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I wasn't there today. Last Thursday, I think it was, I was there, and there were a good 6 or 8 people there. So if you miss being out on the boardwalk, come to the gym Tuesdays and Thursdays between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. And the last item is to be safe, everyone.
Thank you. Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. See, a couple of things. The Harbor Commission met last week. I want to congratulate Paul DeSantis on a very long and distinguished term as the chairman. Paul's been stepping down, and the commission's going to be picking a new chair and vice chair at the next meeting. Looking forward to that. A lot of discussion at the Harbor Commission meeting about how it's going to be the year of construction. But it's going to be over. It's not going to be like that forever, and when it's over, it's going to be great. Got to keep saying that. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And still looking into the sea-bin cleanup thing to see if we can get some, if it's possible, get them for our money, and see if there's a way we can get them at some kind of deal, so we can do that. The Environmental Commission, we got a copy of Lake Como's bamboo ordinance. I have forwarded that to our attorney, and we're looking to see if there's a way we can we want to make sure that we do more than discourage anybody from planting new bamboo. You put bamboo in, it's highly invasive, highly aggressive, and you're never going to get rid of it. And if you plant it on your yard, it's going to be in your neighbor's yard. So we want to stop that. But we also don't want to penalize people who have it already through no fault of their own. We want to see if there's a way we can work that out so it's not going to have too many people. Maybe we'll offer a bounty. On the bamboo bounty. So we'll figure something out.
Like when you turn in, just turn in bamboo.
Yeah, well, you gotta turn in the roots, baby.
No question that.
You gotta-
Pandas.
All right, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolay.
Brian, I will definitely support you, and what's nice is my company will match
Oh, great.
what I put out, so you'll get $2.
You're cruel. You're cruel.
$3, $3.50. Belmar Arts Council. They're now called Belmar Arts Center. We feel that will attract more people. Council sounds wonderful, but they changed their name to it's still BAC, but Belmar Arts Center. The Member Salon Old Shoes artwork is every Wednesday through Saturday, 1 through 5 p.m., weather permitting, through Friday, January 29th. They're currently looking for artwork for Hooray for Hollywood. There's new workshops added for photography, painting, used glass art, and the art walk is coming up shortly. It'll come before we know it. Saturday, April 30th from 12 to 4 p.m. It's free to artists. All are welcome, and Main Street businesses are also invited to participate. Belmar Rec, Ray, congratulations. They have a bus trip coming up for Katie's musical, Beautiful. It's Friday, April 29th, and they leave the plaza at 4 p.m., and it's $80 per person for the show and the bus. That's beautiful. St. Rose Grammar School, they've got an open house and tours Sunday, January 31st, 8:30 to 1:30, and Thursday, February 4th, from 9:30 to 11:30. And again, those are open houses at St. Rose Grammar School. Private tours can be arranged. Call Monica Kinzel, 681-5555. 681-5555. Belmar Elementary School is doing the Belmar Chopped Contest. This is kind of cute, where they ask the children to be chefs and come up with some recipes for healthy snacks. So all entries are due January 22nd, and they're going to ask parents to judge. DPW, straight from Mr. Campbell, where there's a potential storm coming, so all their efforts are revolved around that. They're prepping the dunes, they're prepping plows, jet cleaning the storm drains and sewer lines in town. They've lowered Silver Lake and are working on lowering Lake Como, prepping the marina, and hoping for the best. They'll keep us updated, obviously, as the reports come in. Shop local. I know I say that all the time, especially in the winter. Please shop local. Not just shopping, but restaurants and doctor's appointments and haircuts and whatever. But our businesses need people within the mile, so I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I also was able to join Council President McGovern and also Councilwoman Keon Blackburn at the Fireman's Dinner this past weekend. And the one thing I think it's important for, I know all of us on the council appreciate this, and hopefully the public also recognizes it. By having a volunteer fire department, we save a tremendous amount of money in taxes. If we had to have paid fire and or paid ambulance like other towns, it would be unsustainable. So I know Bruce is here, but if we could just give our volunteer firefighters. You may have seen the marina, as Councilman Brennan mentioned, this is the year of construction this year. Our dredging has concluded for now. You'll see those big, giant black bags. There's a lot of nastiness inside those bags that's been sucked out of the bottom of the channel. They're going to be dewatering. I don't know how they do it in the freezing cold, but they will be dewatering for the next couple of months, and then eventually that'll all be carted away to the Monmouth County dump. Then there'll be additional dredging afterwards. But that's what's in those big bags that are surrounded by the fencing. So evidently they had wasn't a whole lot of time to dredge, but they did seem to do a lot of work in a short amount of time, which is good. As Councilwoman Nicolay mentioned, our DPW is preparing for God knows what is coming this weekend. The forecast is sort of all over the place. But I will tell you that the least desirable job in this town and possibly this state right now is bulldoze operator on the Belmar beachfront, where these men are out in terrible conditions, freezing cold, in open air bulldozers, building up dunes to protect our town from any potential oncoming storm surge. which, again, the forecast ranges from moderate to extremely severe flooding up on the beachfront. So please tell them we appreciate what they're doing and we thank them for it. What's that?
Keep your eye out for code red.
Yeah, well, as the storm gets closer and it seems clearer as to what we're going to expect, we'll let everyone know what we're doing and what we're going to ask of everyone else. And we're going to impress heavily, if it snows, to get cars off the streets. When you keep your car in the street, it doesn't just negatively impact you, it negatively impacts your neighbors as well. I think the last couple times we did code reds on plowing, we were pretty forceful, and it was pretty helpful to them plowing, which meant that the streets would come sooner, that we could get to work a lot safer, which is good for everybody. Also, you may have heard that I have announced I'm running for Monmouth County Freeholder this year. That's true. Now, that's brought up some questions as to what that means. The election's not until this November. That means I stay mayor through this whole year. If I'm successful, then I would step down just about this time next year, and the council would choose the mayor. So I don't resign while I'm running, but if I was successful, then I would be compelled to resign. So at least for the next 11 months, 12 months, there'll be no change. So I just wanted to, because I know I had some questions on that. And lastly, possibly most importantly, if you've been following a sign that Councilman Brennan puts up there on a regular basis, it is 47 days until parade day. So make sure that's on your calendar.
Snow.
First, and it will not snow, the first Sunday in March, which is March 6th. Again, 47 days until then. And that's all for me. Next is, with the council's consent, I would like to move the public hearing for the Special Improvement District budget ahead of the public session for the resolutions. It just happens to be included with them right now. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes. Yep.
All right, so we're going to have the public hearing on the Special Improvement District. We'll ask a representative from them to come up, and then we'll ask for public comment as well. So just state your name, address, business for the record, and just tell us.
Selmer Casey, owner of Small Marcel, and also president of the BBT. Okay, Selmer Casey, owner of Small Marcel, also president of the BBT. In front of you, you have, I'm here actually today for mayor and council to approve our budget for 2016. In front of you, you have a booklet of what we have accomplished over the 2015 and our goals for 2016. Our budget is $133 for this year.
Any questions for Mr. Marchese?
What was the budget last year, Jeff? Sal?
113, I think it was.
113 last year?
118.7.
Okay. For general administration, $31,200. Does someone get paid, or?
Yes, we do have a secretary that handles that.
You have one secretary, and she gets paid the $31,200?
No, we also have a rent that we have to pay.
Okay. And where's your?
It's located at 708 10th Avenue upstairs, from the salon myself.
Okay. Why did it go up from 118 last year?
I can give you a little breakdown of why it went up. There is an increase, but there is no increase to the business owners. And it's a complicated situation because of previous billing, but I do have a treasurer here who has it down to to explain it to you fully.
Hi. My name is Gail O'Reilly. I'm here on behalf of Mapping Group. I am a business owner in Belmar. So I think if we come over here, then can we tilt an angle that maybe the mayor and council and some of the audience.
We'll just face the main council.
Right, so right now. So I probably recall, what did you?
Yeah, we raise it. That way you don't have to be human.
That's right. All right.
Do you want to maybe over here so that the audience can see it and
What else? Right now, if you don't mind, this is the first time we're seeing it.
So, the first year that this was approved, it had a budget of $168,000. Through a variety of circumstances, no bills were sent out, okay? So even though the subsequent year we were approved at 175, the governing body reasonably enough asked that we reduce our budget so that we didn't negatively impact the stakeholders who still had to now pay the back charge for year one, all right? So we worked it out with the CFO, and what you see in this chart is for the next 4 years of our existence, we had to reduce our budget in order to take care of a $42,000 bill from year one that never went out. Every year, $42,000, okay? So by year two, the amount of billing, this is green, in excess of $170,000. We brought that down a little bit for other reasons. And now that we are done paying off that back charge, we can resume normal operations, all right? So at this point, our budget is 20% of what our earlier budget was. And we are back, we've rolled back our expenditures to the 2012 level. And that's what we anticipate continuing with going forward. And this is all sort of an abnormality because we had to recapture that year one budget that never went out. No bills ever went out to the businesses. I know, but
It's a little complicated, but the one thing that I
But
think, I'm sorry, President and retired, but anyway, it's a little complicated, but there was one original. I didn't do it. There was one original covenant that we were charged with, and that was not to exceed 10% of the assessed value. So when you look at this, okay, you have to keep that back in mind. We've never exceeded that. And as a result, we had to reduce our budget significantly because of the first year situation. And we've been existing on kind of what you call, a real basic set of circumstances, and haven't been able to accomplish anything like we could have under a normal set of circumstances. But we're still, with this, we're going to get a little more revenue this year, okay, but we're still well within that 10% parameter. And to the merchants, it's not going to result in any difference in their billing. There's no additional cost to the merchants. It's just that we're going to get a little more money out of it because we don't have to pay you guys back for a situation that occurred after our first year. That's the difference.
Are you planning on doing more with that increased revenue?
We spend every dime of it we can on this town.
well,
We
not only
spend
that,
every dime of it.
not only that, this increase, which is approximately $15,000, goes exclusively to programs because we're keeping our overhead constant. So it puts more money on the street with actual programs, the banners, the benches, the special events, all that kind of thing.
Just for an instance, okay, the town is committed to a streetscape situation from 10th Avenue to 5th. The little flowers that everybody likes that's hanging on the streets, and the little, benches and that kind of stuff. If you saw the expense of that, you'd go, I can't believe it costs so much. So that's one of the things that we're preparing for, assuming that it happens in 2016. But it's one of those things that we have to take into consideration if we're going to be able to decorate the town in a uniform manner. And, there's, the streets are, the DPW does a blank of a job. I mean, really remarkable in what they're doing and accomplishing with their staff. But there's some things that they just can't do, like de-weed the sidewalks, clean up this next. There's some things that they can't do. And it's important to the business community, and vis-a-vis Belmar, to have those things done. That puts the icing on the cake. That makes Belmar stand out. The Route 35 entrance to the town, they've done a remarkable job over by the marina and in the park. It's beautiful. But the curbs need some work. And the pedestrian side of it needs a little bit of spiffing up. And those are things that we think are necessary to put that shining example of Belmar when you drive through town, to make Belmar a really desirable place to come. And that increases business, which is what our charge is, but it also increases the property values of the citizens that are in the town.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Well, no, and again, a reminder, you know, we've been doing this for 5 years now, this is our 6th year, and this is not a tax, this is an assessment. This is the businesses choosing to invest in our environment. We all try to maintain our buildings, we maintain our individual business operations. This takes care of what happens from the door to the street, okay, to the perception of the market at large. We are trying to invest in ourselves for the good of the business district without taxpayer expense.
How do you enforce from the door to the curb? And you say it's not a tax, it's an assessment. What if someone doesn't want to pay?
Well, that goes back to the enabling legislation. It's all for one. I mean, that's a different conversation than the budget.
Okay, so the enforcement, how do you enforce it?
We're not enforcers. I think the state legislation requires that the bills go out at the hand of the borough. That's, again, out of our hands. That's how it was created by the state. But that's a nationwide pattern. And so a bill goes out every year. I get a separate bill. You get a separate bill. We see our taxes, and then we get a separate bill from the borough saying, this is your assessment for the special improvement district. And we pay that separately.
Yeah, actually, you guys are the enforcers of that. That's your charge. And when you agree or hopefully
Speak up a little bit.
extend the budget, okay, then that becomes, raising those funds becomes your responsibility.
That's state law. That is state law.
We can't do it. We're very, very limited. But one of the things that we have to do, which is an exceptional expense, is we have to follow an accounting procedure that's very, very, very expensive for a little organization like that. How much is it, $3,000-$4,000? Okay, but we're required by not only the federal government, but the state government to have that kind of accounting situation going on. And we're a very simple business. We don't have much. $118,000, it's not, I mean, it's pocket change sort of in the world of business. But it's $4,000 in accounting expertise in order to file correctly. Those are some of the expenses that you see when you see administrative expenses and stuff like that. Our secretary is working. Our secretary is working for
part-time.
a tidge over poverty wage. Well, she's paying, she's charging us part-time. She's probably in there 40 or 50 hours a week. Because it's a very committed thing from the business. For the people that are here, that's all volunteer, and we're very, very committed to, you know, making the place a better place. As you guys are too.
Does the governing body have any questions about the actual numbers that we can continue to explain?
I like the way the blue and the green for this year matches, and that's the way it's supposed to look.
Thank you. Well, yes, exactly.
That's supposed to look.
And then we also have a two-zone district, so again, going back to earlier discussions with the governing body in 2013, anybody who's not within a block of Main Street actually pays half of what the central district does. So all these numbers had to juggle the 10%, the back payment, the two zones. So we're kind of holding steady and confident that we can keep doing good work.
In the future, do you see your expenses staying stable, going down, having to go up?
With the more money that we're allowed to spend, probably the more good that we can do. But there's always this blend between what can businesses pay and afford, and how much bang for the buck they can get out of it, just like when you're looking for this street improvement project. So we're very aware of that, and we felt that the 10% thing was as much as we could possibly ever ask for, and still have the businesses not get hurt badly by that.
Just let me ask you this. It's 10% on the property tax, which includes...
It's less than 10%.
Okay.
It's no higher than 10%.
It's not, we're not, I don't think we've ever hit 10%, but it's
which includes the municipal, county, and school taxes. Now, since the businesses have to pay school tax, but they don't send any children to school, and then you're applying 10% also on school taxes to a business that doesn't send anybody to school. Can you see that maybe you can make your 10% assessment, the property tax, just based on the municipal and county taxes?
That's almost like asking, does the borough want to not tax the businesses either, since they don't use the school district?
I know.
We're just following state precedent.
You don't have to, do you?
It's generally a good idea, rather than making our own laws.
But, I mean, you've only been in 5 years or so, right? And we collect the school taxes, and we pay the school to pay their teachers and everything like that. I'm just saying, you know, the businesses have to pay twice on school taxes, and they don't have to, they have no children that they're sending to school.
Well,
I think that's a matter of, you know, policy and personal opinion, and we can certainly continue that discussion with our board going forward, but this is the budget that has been proposed and introduced for this year.
Any other questions, comments, council?
How many businesses in town?
I would ask,
It's about 160.
no, more than that, I think, I would say,
About 160.
Right.
How often does your board communicate with the 160 business owners?
quite frequently. We send out email blasts on a regular basis to anybody who has agreed to share their information with us. And we maintain communication by mail as needed, typically on an annual basis for an announcement of a stakeholder meeting. So,
And, okay, so you do have stakeholder meetings. What percentage of businesses show up for the meetings?
very small.
Very small.
Very small.
Under your general administration here, you've got special, I wrote down projects, but it's special programs. What were the special programs this year?
Well, an example of a special program would be when the governing body approached us to do Employment of the Month, okay? Another example was the idea of selling Belmar flags in the past. So we anticipate that we can't know at the beginning of the year what good ideas might emerge during the year. So we just identify that as a possible expense. Keep in mind, what we have for going forward are possibilities, and it depends on what opportunities come up.
Okay. And subscription and dues, who are you involved with that you have to pay outside?
Well, we have a nonprofit organization called Downtown New Jersey, just like you would have the League of Municipalities. So we subscribe to that. And then a lot of the subscriptions are for things like payroll service. You know, it's technical stuff. It's not necessarily voluntary. It's just the nature of doing business.
you software subscriptions also.
And one of the, I know, I was not on the council when the SID was first proposed, but I do remember that one of the things you were planning on doing was bringing diverse businesses into town. How do you feel that you've accomplished this over the last 4 or 5 years?
I think 5 years ago, we had how many stores? Today we have less than 5. I think all of us, council, everyone is responsible for that. I think we're part of that.
Okay. But are they diverse? Or are we bringing the same types?
Of businesses?
Yeah.
We can't predict who can come to town. I guess the more people that come to town, see our stores, we can't, no one can control what type of stores come in. We
Okay.
can't particularly wear hair salon, that's for sure.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got, thanks.
Any other members?
No, questions, no.
Just to state that I am the liaison between the BBP and the council, and I do attend the meetings, and they work very, very hard. And just like fire department, it's all volunteer work, and they do have a passion to make the town better, you know, for the businesses. And I think from what I've seen, being with the group 5 years, it's had a tremendous growth in improving the programs and the communication and getting the correct people on board. So I see year after year just a tremendous amount of improvement.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have done a great job over the last couple of years. You know, there is no chamber of commerce, nothing is running to the ground. At one time it was good, but it's, I don't think it exists anymore, all even on paper. And, you know, the events you put on are, they're top shelf stuff, you know. I think we probably have one of the best car shows now in Monmouth County. And that says a lot. So, you know, and I've come to your meetings, but I make a point not to stay too long. Councilman Nicolay stayed and get beat up over things. But I can tell you that you are extremely strong and vocal advocates for the businesses that are here in town. So thank you very much for that as well.
One more little thing. The last meeting you came to was very much appreciated, and I think I can speak for all of us in the BBP. It would be great if you could show up for that 10 minutes again.
Every time.
No, even on a week, even on a monthly basis, you know, it would be most appreciated because it gives us an inside look into some of the other aspects that are not available to us, you know, from what the council is doing, like this project and that project and stuff like that. So it allows us to plan a little bit better.
I got you.
You know, it would be, I would appreciate it.
The mayor might ask that we start showing up on a monthly basis to his meetings as well.
I said, we want to do that. But I also like the fact that, you know, we do have some stores, not going to name names, but some businesses that maybe came from Avon, very fancy Avon, across the bridge in the Belmar. You know, we had one business owner who started off with one business 3 years ago, now he's got 3 in Belmar. You know, so it's becoming more and more of a great place to operate a business. The one thing, and I know you guys bring it up, and you have strong advocates for this as well, is the issue of parking. A couple heads nodding there. And I can tell you that we don't have a solution to it right now. But we're also cognizant of the fact that we'll be limited in what we can redevelop, what new businesses and projects we can bring in town until it does get addressed. But this summer will probably be one of the worst summers for parking we've seen in a long time because of all the construction going on, as Council President, Councilman Franklin. So, but thank you all very much. If you want to maybe put that in the back and the public can take a look at it, well, just in the back so that maybe they can see what else. Was there any other public? This is open for a public hearing. So any public comment or questions on this? Please raise your hand when you call on. Yes, sir.
Evening, David Scheck, 302 C Street. Couple of questions about the SID assessment. Do companies that are here under redevelopment agreements pay, they make payments in lieu of taxes, right? So that they don't pay a traditional property tax, so with like the Pepe's buildings or Chefs International, do they pay into the SID somehow?
I believe anyone who would have a tax abatement pay that.
So they don't pay school tax either, right? Because it's just a payment in lieu of taxes to the borough, is that correct?
Well, yeah, it's a tax abatement.
Tax abatement. So I don't understand why companies that are here under redevelopment agreements, and now I understand you have plans to greatly expand the redevelopment area to, you know, pretty much the whole downtown. And, you know, I don't understand why if certain companies, most companies are going to be assessed a SID assessment, why are companies that sign redevelopment agreements exempt to it? I remember last year seeing on the turnpike a billboard paid for by the SID, and it had Chefs International's 9th Avenue Pier, and they didn't even pay into the SID. And that hardly seems fair to all the companies that are paying the SID assessment.
Well, and just to be clear, all the mayor and council does is approve the budget. We don't approve how they spend the money. We're prohibited from dictating to them how they spend the money, so they can spend the money however they wish.
So,
I think it's unfair. You should talk to them.
well, I think it's unfair that certain companies that have major properties in town aren't paying any SID assessment, when other companies that are very small and they have nothing to do with tourism, you know, they get the full hit on the SID assessment. It doesn't really seem fair. And then as redevelopment is expanded and we sign, if we sign more redevelopment agreements, that situation is going to be exacerbated. It's going to be even worse, you know. And if a company exists now in a building and then if there's a redevelopment occurs at that building, there's some kind of redevelopment agreement, then the companies that were paying the SID assessment are going to be, after the redevelopment agreement is signed, they're going to be exempt from it, right?
I'm not sure what I understand the question, but I understand what you're saying. It's not fair, so thank you for your...
Yeah, I think you really ought to address that, you know.
Thank you. Any other public comment questions on the SID budget? Okay, Con. Just come on up to the microphone and just state your name and,
And the report was 1,296. I'd like to ask those people that was here, they say, and make a bills for us, for some people. I don't know if the whole town pays that kind of bill, or improvements, business improvement, whatever they call. I'd like to know if they pay that kind of bill when they send it to us.
do you have any other comments, questions?
And second, anybody sees how many properties they put on the December 29 on auction right here? Out of this bill? It's a set. We say all along, drop this. We pay enough taxes. Thinking about taxpayers. Don't think about big stuff. This is, anybody wants to do more, they should put their hands in their pockets and pay themselves and not pass the bills to anybody else. Listen, do the right thing.
Thank you.
Please.
Anyone else this time?
My God, we can't live. We have to die slow.
I just want to mention that David.
Last name and,
Oh, Tom Volker, 527 8th Avenue, not the real one anymore. I just want to say that David's right, that with the redevelopment, that they do not pay into the SID, and we do plan to address that this year with council. So I just want to mention that.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Gene Kramer, 4th Avenue. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know, I don't pay this SID tax or SID assessment, so I really don't care what, how much they pay.
One thing I do know is that no matter what they've paid in thus far, it has done nothing to improve or to raise the assessed value of commercial properties. Commercial properties in Belmar went down another 5.5% in assessed value between 2014 and 2015. So whatever they're doing with their money, it's not impressing the tax assessor. Thank you.
See another public comment, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the special improvement district budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, what do I move the adoption of
You
the
have a
budget or
resolution
approval?
adopting the budget, so somebody could make a motion.
All right, so I'll make a motion approving their budget. We're going on, so maybe it's approved. I'll make a motion to approve the SID budget.
Second?
Okay, Councilwoman Field Blackburn?
Looking at the budget over the last couple of years, it looks like some of the things in here are really kind of the responsibility of the borough as opposed to the business owners. And I know that there were a lot of empty stores many, many years ago, and now there's a handful compared to what it used to be. They're diverse in a way, but we do have quite a few of the same type of business. And it was my understanding when they first came about several years ago, that that was one of the things they were trying to do, was bring diverse businesses into town so that a number were competing against each other, having 5 or 6 of the same type of business. I'm going to vote no this year.
Councilman McGovern?
I just think the budget is high. They gave me a very good explanation. I know these people work very hard. No one's doing it to make any money. They're just out there to make Belmar a better place. There were, like 5 years ago, there were 60 stores that were vacant. Now there's, what, maybe less than 10. I would like them to readjust their assessment formula maybe for next year. And if they could get the solution to the parking, that'd be great. You know, this year I'm going to vote yes to their their budget for this year.
Councilman Brennan?
You know, I every year for a long time, since I started the SID, this has been a discussion at my house, and while I understand it feels like some businesses are being double taxed, and it's right. Some of what the SID is doing, seems like it should be borough responsibility, but they're getting it done. And I mean, to me, the main thing is, I mean, I remember when we had a Chamber of Commerce, and the Chamber of Commerce was really kind of voluntary. And it really depended upon who the people were that were involved. If you had people that were active and committed, they basically did as much as they could with really very, very little, because I remember the people that were doing it really having trouble collecting any money from some of the businesses. I think, considering that, when you compare the two, I think the SID is far more effective and far better organized, and the people that are involved, it's not just 1 or 2 people, it's a whole group of people, so that the effort is spread around. And I really do like, and in particular, I want to mention, the videos that were produced this past year, they were really, really outstanding, and I'd love to see more of that. The more reach we can get that way. I love the way the town was presented. I love the way it was presented as a family-friendly, environmentally friendly place. I really like that, so I'm going to vote yes.
Councilman Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yes, and as echoed before, or echoed some of the comments, I want to thank the leadership. Hold on a second.
loses
Timing
that.
is everything.
I've never heard that.
I want that ring.
You all right?
Thank you.
Anyone for it? Is that Jennifer Nicolay again? But I want to thank the leadership and what you do. It's certainly not easy. As members of the council, we get a lot of challenges brought to us, and you're in a lot of ways the same type of body where you get a lot of challenges brought to you. But keep up the good work and keep making our business look great. So thank you, and I think everybody gets it. Next, before we start our public session, I'd like to amend the consent agenda, to add a resolution awarding for construction of the 5th and 10th Avenue Pavilion. So I'm offering a motion to amend the agenda.
Councilman Becker?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Yes. Now, we're going to have public session on the agenda calendar. One thing I do want to bring up on here, just for people to take a look at, is a resolution in support of an increase in the dedicated $25 million annual allocation for the Shore Protection Fund. This is something that we saw particularly during Sandy. The more beach we have, the more protection we have. It's real simple to invest the money now in, lack of a better word, infrastructure, which is our beachfront. We typically don't think of it as it being a defense barrier, but it's a significant defense barrier. So to spend the money now saves a tremendous amount of heartache, challenges, and also saves money later in the future. So those are what I want to point out. So this is the public session. Any public comment, question on the resolution? Council, please raise your hand. Raise your hand when you call out. Come up front. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Vincent Eman, Oakwood Road, Belmar. I want to address the resolution on tonight's calendar for the advertisement for bids to lease a portion of McCleary Park for stand-up paddleboard lessons. Now, I understand this is basically a repeat. So in 2014, everyone here except for Councilman Brennan was then Councilman Beam voted on a similar resolution, if you recall. Fortunately, at that time, I wasn't really paying much attention to McCleary Park, and subsequently in Oprah's, and in fact, it was brought to my attention in several Oprahs between Green Acres DEP and Kelsey Howard, who does a lot of work for Ms. Connolly with the Green Acres. And that's when I first noticed the laws pertaining to Green Acre encumbered property. And so I missed this and I apologize. But 2 years ago, in 2014, when you first brought it up, nobody questioned the legality of leasing a portion of Green Acre encumbered land. So it's actually a funded, unlike, say, L Street Beach, similar to Dempsey. It's on our Rossi. It is one of the many parks that we receive Green Acre. It's Green Acre encumbered, but it's one of the only ones that is Green Acre funded and encumbered. And it was thanks to the Oprahs between Mazer and Green Acre that highlighted NJAC 7:36.13. I'm sorry, guys, ladies, I cannot find anywhere in there where it permits a municipality to actually lease GA encumbered property, funded Green Acre property, to a for-profit company for any amount of money. The only thing I can see about leases is that it's typical for municipalities to lease property and then dedicate it to use for recreation and conservation. So the lease is in the other way. It's specifically, and I know there was a lot of work to get this, one, the resolution, and then the actual contract that was signed 2 years ago. But I do not, I mean, that satisfies New Jersey public contract law. But I cannot, and I'm, again, we have a new borough attorney, and I will, defer to him on this. But let me give you an analogy, and maybe Mr. McGill can confer with you. Let's take Dempsey Park. If we proceed and we start leasing out a portion of, any portion of the 6.9 acres of McCleary Park that is Greenacre funded, we could then take Dempsey Park, which is much larger, or close to that. It's not 3 acres. It's like 5.6 acres is Dempsey Park. There's nothing to stop the borough from having and do a lease, and that area where we have the vehicles, the military vehicles, or the trailers, or any of that stuff, which is not supposed to be in there in their first place, and we've already gotten a notice of violation for. We could lease that out. We could put up palm trees, put up a table, and have a beer garden. There is, no, seriously. And have bids, have some restaurant come in and bid on it. Same with Lake Como. There's no reason. Lake Como is funded, that little property that we have is funded Greenacre property. There's nothing to stop the borough from going down there, having have a company bid and say, we want a daycare center there in the summer where you can do arts and crafts. You have to supply your own tents. Please come and bid. There's nothing to stop that, except Greenacre. So I'm requesting that before you approve this, and also I'm a little ticked because the company that got the bid last year and I have the contract here, and it says, and the new contract was gotten from the borough today. It says McCleary Park, and they operated the 2015 season at L Street Beach. And I went on their website today, and I went down to book now for the 2016 season, and they're already advertising stand-up paddleboard lessons for kids at L Street Beach beginning June 21st, 2016. So if we're actually waiting to get bids in, there's a company that won it 2 years ago who's actually already advertising for it. I find that a little weird. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comment, public comment, question on the resolution calendar? Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Trisha Korea, 303 Ocean Avenue in Belmar. And I just have a comment on the value engineering. I worked for the federal government in contracting and program management for over 30 years, and to say that value engineering is getting the most out of the contract for the same money is not actually accurate. What it really is an effort to look for cost savings, but still get the same project scope and the quality. So for value engineering ideas that are recommended by the contractor that get adopted, the savings are split between the owner and the contractor, so the borough and the contractor. And then for value engineering ideas that are adopted during the design and the bidding phase, the borough gets all the savings. So it would behoove Mazer to identify value engineering initiatives before construction starts, and then we can possibly save some money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is George Scudera. I reside at 1311 River Road in Belmar. going to, my little helper here, my prompter. I want to address my concerns regarding the resolution for the 2016 bid for stand-up paddleboard lessons and camp at the southern end of the Cleary Park. Now, let me begin by saying I am all for the paddleboard program. But before taking this step forward, I believe it's prudent to recognize that Belmar has failed to enforce the terms of the lease in year 2014 and 2015, and failing to address numerous blatant violations made by Summertime Surf LLC, many of which have the potential to compromise the health, welfare, and safety of the general public, many of which travel great distances to escape big city life to enjoy the summer activities at Belmar that are free and available to all. Now, during the 2015 season, Summertime Surf moved from the southern end of the Cleary Park to the L Street entrance to Belmar's public beach, violating the lease agreement, ignoring the inherent safety issues associated with the fact that the beach lacked a lifeguard and readily available first aid supplies in the event of an accident, compromising the health, welfare, and safety of families and children, many of which you have here at this council, children enjoying one of Belmar's greatest assets, a free, safe haven, affordable to all. Now, Belmar offered no opposition to these blatant violations, putting literally hundreds of bathers at risk, as well as Belmar itself at risk of being sued in the event of injury. And I support this fact by the reply to my Oprah request regarding this matter, which reveals no records of any meetings, approvals by Belmar to the venue relocation, or amendments made to the lease agreement. I wish to question Belmar's failure to enforce the 2014 and 2015 lease agreement with regard to other, now let me change my page here, violations outside of the lease agreement that were overlooked during lease agreement of 2014 and 2015, and namely, paragraph 6, use of property, allowing Summertime Surf to permanently install a wooden structure made of 4x4 foot-inch lumber, 12 feet by 10 feet by 3 feet, to the bulkhead of the L Street entrance to the beach to store paddleboards, being fully aware that the terms of the lease required paddleboard equipment to be delivered and picked up daily. Let me go on. For allowing Summertime Surf to fasten and lock paddleboards to the boardwalk at the L Street termination, jutting approximately 6 feet above the handrail, compromising the use of the handrail to the general public, and remaining there for the expiration of the lease and past the expiration of the lease, only to be removed after I emailed our mayor on September 30th, informing him of the same. In similar fashion, I emailed the mayor on September 30th. Let me change my page here. To have the wooden benches left on the beach near the L Street entrance and have removed in view of a pending storm, making them, potentially preventing them from being potentially floating hazards to voters. My email is on record, you have that, Mr. Mayor. Other violations are exceeding the signage requirements stated in paragraph 11 of the lease of 10 square feet by 900% without any incident or question by the town. A summertime surf sign 15 feet by 6 feet, 90 square feet, was bolted to the entrance to the L Street beach. Now, 10 square feet and 90 square feet is pretty darn different. Another thing is to allow the summertime surf to install a tent on the beach underneath 8-foot wooden benches with a sign that says, "This tent is for the participants and staff of summertime surf and paddleboard school only." Remember, the lease was to be used at McCleary Park, the southern end of McCleary Park. Apparently, no one is awake. Somebody's sleeping at the switch. Belmar has failed. It's almost a total disaster in enforcing the paddleboard lease covering years 2014 and 2015. Now I have to ask you, the council here, what hope do we residents have of Belmar mishandling this and correcting it for the proposed lease for 2016? What assurance do we have that the proposed lease being put up for bid will be administered and enforced? Question, are the residents of Belmar being blindsided by politics? Now, let me drop a rotten egg. I was asked today to go to the Summertime Surge website and read their posting for children's stand-up paddleboard camp at L Street Beach. Tuesdays only, starting June 21st through August 23rd, 2016. Very interesting. The resolution is being here today to be heard and voted on. Yet, Summertime Surf is already advertising a wonderful thing on their website. Is something wrong? Are we involved with politics? Or am I missing something? It appears that the cat's been let out of the bag tonight. Summertime Surf appears confident that they're going to be the winning bidder. The only bidder, as it was the last time. Shall Belmar include a minimum bid again of $500, only to be awarded to Summertime Surf LLC, that equates to 31 cents per hour of operation, while they charge the public $85 a person for a 75-minute lesson for groups of 1 and 2, or $75 per person for groups of 3 or more. I have to ask the council here, we're all taxpayers, we're all people of the community. I love Belmar. I'm for paddleboarding. I'm for making Belmar a place that people get out of the city and come here and love. I'm the biggest proponent for Belmar, but I don't understand how this can be allowed and permitted and voted on and approved when this is the case. Now, my question is, what is going on? Does anybody have any lessons? And why do we want to charge and issue a minimum bid of $500, which equates to operating a business for 31 cents an hour, when they're charging $85 an hour? Now, if I had a return of investment on my business, and I am certainly one, a businessman and executive that left my field and my career years ago, I find this unconscionable that someone would even want to put a minimum bid of $500 and appearing that our little friends at Summertime Surf are already guaranteed they got the job, the bid. They're advertising on their website. Go on and look for yourself. Now, I ask my question. I'm over Belmar. I love Belmar. I voted for you. I voted for some of you people who are not even knowing it because you put a sign on a curb or out on the lawn. I expect you people to be here to help us, the residents of Belmar, to give us our fair share and deep in your heart and find out what is the right thing and just don't be a rubber stamp for anything else again. Stand up and be counted. People voted you here in office to take these positions. If I was that much excited in politics, I'd be looking for your seat, but I'm not. I expect you people to help us. I'm a senior. I'm one of the guys who walks along that beach in the morning and puts my hand on a handrail, waiting for the light to turn red. And I have to face myself with a 6-foot-high surfboard that's facing me and blocking me from holding the handrail, when it shouldn't even be there in the first place. It's supposed to be in McCleary Park at the southern end, where it was the first year. Now, you tell me, who is sleeping on the switch? Who is responsible for this? And why can't they comment right now to me while I stand here? And give me a reason why. Because I don't think I'm wrong. I know I'm right. And I know my response from the Oprah proves everything that I'm saying here today. As April will know. I've been in there questioning. There is no reason for this mismatch and disconnect for the people of this town, who most of them voted for you people up here to respect us as citizens and human beings. And why can't we have a fair level playing field? And why can't it be fair? Is it politics or is it political mathematics? But 31 cents an hour to run a surfboard concession on our beach is ridiculous, it's ludicrous. And you people ought to think about putting a number like maybe $10,000 or so, or more, to have the lease. It's ridiculous, 31 cents an hour to have a lease to do surfboarding. Is this a surprise to anybody? Can I have anybody comment? Please, comment, because I'm here to be counted and stand up.
I understand, we appreciate your comments, we'll take them into consideration as we put the lease together.
No other comments? You people were voted to help us, each one of you at this board. Don't become a rubber stamp because you're in the local politics. It doesn't work in America. Let's all be Americans, and let's all be people of Belmar like I am. I love Belmar. I'd love to see the paddleboard at the end of McCleary Park, out of harm's way of little children, like many of yourself may have children, okay? Another thing is the disgrace that you have here. The money you could raise by putting a proper price on this venue could pay and clean out the dump that's on the corner of the restrooms, which serves no apparent damage to roofs or anything. But you can put up toilets and spend thousands of dollars for the last 3 years since Hurricane Sandy, mitigating a problem without even looking inside the door and saying it needs pro cleaner to come in for $5,000. And let the little kids and the people that go to McCleary Park have a place to wash their hands, to go to the toilet, to change a diaper, to become humans and not live like third-class world that we are, making Belmar. I would love to have a postcard with the toilets, the potty, and the water fountain 3 feet away and say, "Welcome to Belmar, third world." I'm speaking out loud because I'm a person, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, okay? I have children more than any of you have on this council. I'm a father to that many more children. I talk from my heart, and I speak from my heart. And I ask you people at this council to think and feel the same way when you vote, and you put out the same package to have the same people or one person vote or bid on this. And even in the fine print, you have the saying, it's right in here, you have the right to reject any and all the bids. So why even have one? Want to take a step back, clean up the act in Belmar, get everything straightened out, and look at where we're going, and then ban, number one,
time from even bidding because of all the violations that they've made, and no one has touched them. No one has even slapped their hand or slapped their wrist. Even though the lease says, violation of any one of these blah, blah, blah is grounds for terminating the lease and giving it to another bidder. Well, wow, there are no other bidders. And I'm sure that between the council here, the mayor, and everyone else involved, that somehow our friends in Surf Time know they're gonna get the bid. Because they're already advertising publicly online on their website. How do you account for that? How does anybody account for that? They're in, they're advertising. Is anybody awake?
The resolution tonight is about going out to advertise for a bid.
Absolutely.
You cannot tell people what they can or can't advertise on their website. If I was you, if you were this worked up about it, I would contact.
I'm not worked up.
If you're upset about it, you should contact sometime, so this is the wrong place to talk about.
I'm making you aware that one of your favored people who bid competitively is already advertising their win.
I understand that, I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you is there's nothing the council can do about that. They can advertise whatever they want on their website.
Okay, supposing the council say, because of all the violations you've done, violations to the lease, which we didn't wake up in time to catch, we're not letting you bid on this year's lease. You're prohibiting that, for the violations that you gave and risking the health and welfare and safety of the children on Elm Street Beach. You know what it is to have a little child playing in the water and somebody come with a surfboard or paddleboard and go get a lesson right in front of your face? If it was my children, they'd be ripped out of the water and I'd be beating on this township door saying, what are you people, nuts?
Okay,
I hope.
think that you're making a strong case.
I hope I made a strong case.
I think you have, I think we understand what you're saying. And we'll take it into consideration, particularly with the, with the lease as we develop it and put it together and ensure that there are no more violations.
I just one more question. The lease that expired in September. Structure, which is 12 foot by 10 foot by 3 foot, still remains on the bulkhead at L Street. The 8-foot benches that were taken off the beach because of an impending hurricane are thrown behind the restrooms. What is going to happen to that? Are you going to hold Surf Time responsible? Why don't you charge them for the cost of removing that object and cleaning up everything, send them a bill and say, look, you violated everything, you're not going to bid this year. Goodbye, amen.
I appreciate what you're saying, I understand what you're saying.
I hope you people that hear and understand, I'm talking from my heart, not just for the hell of it. I'm talking from my heart for every person behind me and all the people that travel hours in traffic that come to Belmar to use a nice beach and a nice safe place to play that doesn't cost them anything. People less fortunate than we are, maybe financially or whatever else. And then have it, someone just decide they're going to put their surfboards and paddleboard lessons on the beach between our children when it's said in black and white. Any violation to this is grounds for terminating the lease and giving it to someone else. And no one does anything about it. And that everybody watches it the whole year, from the whole entire summer. No one did anything about it at all. And I look out my window and see this and throw up and say, how can the town be doing this and be so negligent and not taking any action for the safety, welfare, and health of our children that use the beach?
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope I made my point.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. I'm hoping I did somebody clap.
On the resolution calendar?
You're darn right.
Yes, sir.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Mike Smith, 110 Second Avenue. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor, congratulations on your announced run for freeholder. Councilwoman Blackburn, congratulations, or thank you for your very courageous vote on the SID. I think that business owners, the risk they
No,
take.
this is on the resolution.
I understand that, and I'll get that in 1 second. I know I only have 5.
No, give it more time, but you're talking about the SID budget's already.
Just making a comment.
I understand, but let's stay on the resolution count.
Okay.
There'll be a public portion.
You know, I came here, again, a little surprised. I thought we'd be hearing about the savings to Belmar for the construction of pavilions, being that there was a resolution passed that we were going to take that ourselves. And I know now that's changed, but I was kind of baited by the fact that there are savings to be had there. And yet, when Nick came up here and made his presentation, and he ironed out all the cases why there's legal issues, I mean, I think practically every major project we've had in Belmar has been involved in litigation in one shape, form, or another. So I don't know if there's any surprise there, but the fact is, I didn't hear any questions about these savings. And Pat Correa came up and mentioned the fact that we should know about the savings before we go into contract, because that's when our leverage is the greatest. For us to go out and say we're gonna get these savings after the fact, I remain skeptical. I don't see that happening, and yet the mayor, in the resolution vote, really made a strong point that there was significant savings there, that there was a large profit to be made by a private company coming in and doing that work. That's what I'm interested in. I think George was wonderful, by the way, and I compliment you all on giving him his time to make his speech and issue his concerns about bidding and stuff in this town, and hearing him out fully, and it's a significant issue for him. It's monetarily, it pales in comparison to the awarding of these pavilions. I mean, we're still talking about the fact we've spent more in engineering than our towns around that have spent to put up buildings. We've made huge payments to engineering concerns. As a matter of fact, is payment of bills part of the resolution?
Payment of bills part of the resolution calendar?
It is. Okay, there's a payment to Birdsall Engineering for $36,000 today in our payment of bills. Can anyone explain to me what that is? Okay, it's
The
okay.
whole bill is probably put on by Patty or Rob.
I just thought it kind of ironic. Well, here we are in 2016, payment of bills listing Birdsall Engineering again. You know, it just kind of brings all this back to the fact that as much of an interrogation as you guys did on the SID, which believe me, I greatly appreciate. I thought there was great questions asked here. And that's why I come to these meetings. I still don't hear those questions for something enormous like the pavilions. And 1 minute we're being told there's savings, and the next minute we're saying, well, let's just go out and maybe we'll do this, you know, after the fact. Well, but don't tell us how we're gonna do it, Nick. It's, you know, we don't want anybody out there to know how these savings are gonna be attained. We're just gonna go with it. I was at a meeting in March when we had a $1.6 million change order, and the gentleman who was recently pled guilty, is that pleaded guilty or pled?
Just address the council.
Excuse me.
No problem.
Lord, that might get a little help. He just pled guilty to criminal charges, and at the time, Jim Beam was saying, you know, some of this work had started.
Let's stay on the resolution count.
The resolution calendar includes the award of the pavilions, correct?
Correct.
All right, and part of that discussion was the fact that the engineer is gonna save us money, correct?
Correct.
All right, well, I'm still saying that in the past, I haven't seen how the engineers have saved us money. In fact, I could point out with facts and figures how it's been the opposite. So can I ask the council, could we schedule a meeting to maybe see how we can get these savings before this even begins? So we're protected as the taxpayers?
Well, I gotta be honest, we would have saved a lot more money if we had started this process about 2 years ago. So.
Well, with two-story
To have-
buildings
to
and
have-
paving walls
to have
and,
people
I
come
don't
up
think that's
to
the case,
To have
Artie.
people come up to the microphone and pretend like, oh, we're so interested in making these savings on the pavilions. You've been fighting it for 2 years. It really rings hollow. We have a very good engineering firm. They are gonna save us money. Are we gonna get the specifics in front of here so you can pick it apart? Absolutely not. So you can state your case, but honestly, Mike, no one's buying what you're selling. You were opposed to it. You've been fighting for 2 years. You could have saved us tens of thousands of dollars in the process. You
Oh, I
didn't.
still believe I can.
So now you can stand up here and.
I probably did,
pontificate
we
as
don't
you
have paving
want.
walls and the whole, and incidentally, Mayor Doherty, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, it was your residents.
Anything else?
Can we find out about these savings?
Anything else?
I guess not.
Thank you.
Councilman Blackburn, thank you.
Mayor, sorry, just about the Berthold check, it's a voided check. It's an old accounting note, and it says clearly voided check next to it.
Sounds suspicious. I think there's a conspiracy there. Let's look into it. Launch an investigation. Get some open requests done. Any questions or comments additional on the resolution calendar? Yes, sir.
Gene Kramer, Fourth Avenue. I guess I have a comment regarding this awarding of contract for construction of Fifth and 10th Avenue pavilions. And actually, I was very disappointed in the engineer's bid analysis of bids. Let's just, from the numbers that were published in the CoStar, Epic bid $5.45 million for both pavilions. M&M was about $400,000 less, $5.04 million. And Altec, I believe that's the way you pronounce it, only bid on one of the pavilions, the 10th Avenue Pavilion, and their price was $1.37 million for that, which is lower than the price for the 10th Avenue Pavilion that was provided by Epic and also by M&M. And a couple advantages of the Altec, and I take it they're a local construction company. I couldn't find where M&M is located, but Altec, I believe, was Point Pleasant or Manasquan.
I understand Altec is not part of this resolution calendar. Do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar?
Yes, I do. This is the resolution regarding the awarding of a contract. Is that on the resolution calendar?
Yes, to Epic Construction. Do you have any comments or questions on that resolution or any other resolutions on the
Yes, I
calendar?
do. My comments pertain exactly to the matter of awarding a contract where there's been no bid analysis provided to the residents to tell us why we're entered into a contract that's $400,000 more than the second bid, than the low bid.
It was explained before.
Explain,
It was
please.
explained before.
How about the bid security, Mayor?
I'm not
Have we
gonna add
collected
on to
the
what's
bid
explained.
security? What is our protection against bid collusion other than the bid security?
If you think there's bid collusion, you should contact the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office and give them the evidence, and they'll investigate.
I'm asking you, what is our protection from Epic just saying to M&M, hey, wait a minute, my bid is $400,000 more than yours. Why don't you just withdraw your bid and then we can split the $400,000 and you don't have to get your hands dirty.
My guess is that would be a criminal offense. That's nothing for us to
If
take
we
up.
do not collect the bid security, Mayor, we have no protection. We will not get any competitive bids in the future. Not if the low bidder and the second highest bidder can collude among themselves and negotiate their own deal. I'm sorry, this stinks.
Thank
you. The other thing is, back on Altec, perhaps one of the
They are
reasons...
not part of the resolution calendar. Please keep your comments on the resolution calendar. There's a public portion afterwards. You want to make public comments?
Well, I'm just bringing up comments regarding the awarding of the contract to Epic.
Right, so you
Okay?
can
And a
speak
couple...
on that now, or speak on the other one later. If you want to talk about another company that's not being awarded anything, you can talk about it later.
Well, I'd like to know why the other companies have been, we've gotten no...
It's already been addressed. We're not going to address it again.
Addressed by who?
It's been addressed by our engineer when he came
Okay.
to the microphone before it.
Can he come up here now?
No,
Sorry.
it's not. It's already been addressed once. We're not going to
Oh, he
address
gets
it.
to talk and we just sit and listen and...
That's the idea, yeah. He talks and we sit and listen, yes. You get to talk and we listen.
Well, he said a couple of things up here, Mayor, that were incorrect right from the get-go. One of them being that Mazer would be along on the job for the entirety of the job. Actually, Mazer should be off the job after the piles are driven. Inspection of the work is the responsibility of the Borough Construction Department, not Mazer Engineering. Now we're paying Mazer Engineering, what, $80 to $150 an hour? to do inspection work. I'm sorry, Mayor, this contract stinks.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Gil Olson, I am the owner of Sometimes Sir. I'd like to comment.
Dun, dun, dun! Where's the music from?
I'd just like to thank,
Speak into the mic, please.
I'd like to thank the public for their interest and support of stand-up paddle and healthy activities in the town, which is what we're all about as well. To address just a couple of the comments for the council's consideration, if the bid goes to motion or whatever happens. As far as the minimum amount of the bid and the number of bidders that have shown up in the past, we have been the only bidder, and the minimum bid is at $500. We would request that it stays the same for that, and one of the reasons that it isn't an incredibly competitive bidding process is because the business that we operate in is not primarily financially motivated. That's why other people that are primarily financially motivated don't show up at these things, from our perspective at least. And to address the presence and coordination with the town, we offer a week-long training for all of our staff and hire incredibly skilled watermen and waterwomen and train them from our programs, the surf camps, and now the stand-up paddle programs as well, in order to employ them in the summer at our programs. My background is in ocean safety and youth development. As a lifeguard for 10 years, I ran USLA certified beach in San Diego, and we've improved upon even the USLA standards and the Red Cross standards as far as our own internal safety training that we invest our money in and run a week-long training before the season starts. So as far as the presence and the issue is safety, there's been numerous accounts where we have our presence where we're the only people around on site, and we've made rescues and preventive actions, proactive things that never become incidents just because of our experience and expertise and training that we provide our staff. And that's something we're super proud of, which is, that happens even more on the ocean because there's a higher volume of people. But it has happened at Elstree Beach as well. And that's something that we pride ourselves on in coordinating with the lifeguards and the public safety professionals. As far as the overall presence and location, we default to the township, the public works, the administrator, and the council in terms of coordinating when and where. That's also provision in black and white in the lease, is that we coordinate with the town, and we have a 10-year history of working with the public officials when any issues arise to make sure there's a best fit for the town. And we've greatly appreciated and we're very proud of the fact that members of the public and the governing body have thanked us and praised us for our presence and what we've done for the town in terms of trying to be the small influence that we are in shifting towards a healthy lifestyle and focusing on those aspects for the town, because we are super invested in that as well. So we'd like to thank the public for their interest and investment in the waterfront all around the town. And the Jersey Shore, we kind of, from the ocean perspective, there's not really any borders between the towns or the rivers. That's how we look at it, in order to enact that mission and pass that on to the kids in the programs that we do, and all people really. We've got to come to the council meetings in January and do all this due diligence and all that stuff. So we appreciate everybody's support in making that happen.
All right, in the short term, could you take down the thing where it says you're going to be up there already, just because it causes a whole lot of controversy here?
As far as we are aware that we definitely do advertise for the entire year, because we only operate in effectively it's a 10-week season to make everything happen. In terms of percentages, if there's a rain day or a couple days, we can lose 2% of our opportunity to pay our bills and everything. We have a lot of other expenses besides that, so we need to maximize the amount. As far as the respect for the lease, We obviously would, if we weren't awarded the lease, if you guys didn't advertise it, rejected our bid, obviously we intend to come back. We've told everybody that we'll be around till the ocean dries up as far as our commitment to what we're trying to do. But as far as advertising and taking registrations for the year or whatever, we are banking on our integrity that if we don't have a lease pending that development, we would have to, we understand the liability that we would incur to the customers that would sign up, or the disappointment that we would face with telling them, hey, we don't have that capacity to.
You understand this? People love conspiracies, as you saw tonight. So
we understand
keep
that.
in mind that you have to competitively bid, and someone could outbid you. And if they did, then you'd have to figure out what you do with your customers who sign up.
100%. We have other locations and programs to put them in that we aren't bidding on competitively right now. Where the lease term is continuous, and we already have those secured. As far, the other thing that's on our website is our email and phone number, so anybody at any time can hit us up and express any concerns, and we're happy to be good neighbors.
Thank you.
I have two questions.
Yes.
Did you say your company made some rescues last year?
We make rescues every year, yeah,
You
at
do?
all of our locations.
Okay.
Proactive preventative measures, especially all day, every day, and we have made assists and rescues. For
And
sure.
second, if I came down with my paddleboard, you wouldn't stop me from going off the L Street Beach, would you?
Absolutely not.
So in other words, sometimes other paddleboards out there are not connected with your group?
Every day. Well, I mean, every day.
So there's your group, and then there's other people on private paddleboards?
Yeah, members of the public, as far as I'm concerned, can rent. There's people that rent the rentals on the parking lot side, and people will park at McCleary Park and walk over. Yeah, it's public access, and we've been, excited to see the use of that space.
And kayakers go off the beach also?
Yeah, kayak or scuba dive. The use of that space overall has increased over the years, which we're happy to be a part of. I believe it was last year we, in line with the gentleman's comments about the overall facility and the bathrooms, we made a donation at the end of the year because we're down there every single day. Our staff is down there every single day, all day, and the bathrooms can definitely use some improvement, and we made a small donation to the town to try to, help with that process in the little way that we can. And we, as far as our presence goes, one of our core values is environmental responsibility. We pick up a ton of trash down there that washes up on the beach, and encourage our campers to do the same, all of our participants, and just that we try to take that into consideration, and we want to make it as attractive as possible so people come down and utilize our service, and we do better, but the town has a great reputation for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Yes, sir.
Mayor, would you mind if I stayed here? I don't know if I can make it to the mic.
That's fine.
I don't have any problem with the.
State your name and address, then, please.
Oh, Bill Strauss, 1218 Oakwood. I don't have any problem with the paddleboard people, but the lease agreement says south end of McCleary, not L Street. Either change the lease agreement or have them put their stuff where it says.
Understand.
Not on L Street.
Understand.
Okay? So I would ask you to take it off the agenda right now because it's not worded correctly. Because if they end up in L Street, we're not going to let them stay there unless you change the agreement. All right?
Thank you for your comments. Any comments,
Understand?
questions?
We don't need that kind of.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
A little into it.
Dave, you have to sit down.
Not me?
Yes, you can come up to the microphone, go ahead.
Joy DeSantis, 101 6th Avenue. Hi, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for voting against this. It's really important. I think they presented a good argument. and I appreciate you.
Microphone is
Can
on.
you speak
Just, questions and comments, right now is on the resolution calendar.
Okay, I'll be very quick. Are you going to continue, are you going to use FEMA and JIF money at all to build the pavilions? Are you going to use that money? Any money, from JIF or FEMA?
We're going to, well, you know what, I don't know if I can answer that question. You're suing us, right?
I'm not suing anybody.
It's in litigation, so, any other questions?
This question is not regarding litigation.
Any other questions?
I do have another question. And actually, Mr. McGill, are we required
No,
to
you're not
take
gonna
performance
question our
bonds
attorney. Ma'am, if
on
you'd like, you can question the council.
construction bids?
Direct your
Excuse me?
question the comments directed at the chair.
Could you cite what that comes from?
It comes from me being the chair running this meeting. So, do you have any
Mr.
questions or
McGill,
comments?
is that legal?
Do you have any other questions or comments for the mayor and council?
I'm just trying to get a legal issue decided.
There's not a legal issue. If you have any questions or comments, please go to the council. If not, you're going to have to sit down and someone else is going to get up and speak. Do you have any other questions or comments for the council?
Did you accept any performance bonds on the bids for the pavilions?
Do we accept any performance bonds? On the
You know,
bids?
like there's a bond that Jean was talking about. There's a,
Performance bond for the construction?
no,
Bid
for
bond.
the bids.
Bid bond.
A bid bond. It's a,
I'm sure we have them with them, yeah.
okay.
Cash it in.
Two of
You
the,
shout out from the audience, you're going to be asked to leave the room.
two of the bidders had a problem. Mr. Dakotas mentioned. Is that grounds for asking, allowing us to keep the bond?
I don't know, we'll look into it.
When? Before you award the contract?
I don't know, we'll look into it.
How do you know there will, is that the
Do you have any
reason?
comments or questions on the resolution council? So do you have any comments? or
I'm
questions
talking about,
on the award?
please don't attempt to intimidate me. I'm talking about the contract award that you put on at the last minute. If people are somewhat unprepared to speak to what you exactly want to hear, please allow them the leeway, since you put this resolution on without notice to people. I think that you at least should accommodate that.
We did proper notification. Do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar? If you have other comments or questions, we're going to have a public session. That's
I
all.
understand that. I know. I understand
You understand?
that. I want to just understand the bond situation on the bids.
The bond situation on the bids is not on the resolution calendar. If you have a question or a comment, after the public session.
Are you going to award the contract tonight for the pavilions?
It's the award for the contract to rebuild the 2 pavilions lost is on the resolution calendar. Correct.
Did the award for the contract result from bids?
The award for the contract resulted from borough engineer suggesting we should award it to Epic Construction.
Was that a result of a bid?
Yes.
Well, then maybe I'm allowed to talk about bids.
No, we're not going to keep going step by step. Do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar?
No, apparently I do not, but I
Please
do
take a
want
seat.
to
We have
thank,
another person who has their hand up in the back.
okay, I do want to thank Jean for tolerating your attitude towards him, which I thought was entirely unnecessary. And I would like to applaud George, I think it's George, for speaking so eloquently. And it was his, I
Okay,
think
thank you
his
very
first
much. You're not
time.
talking anything on the resolution calendar.
No, he spoke on the resolution.
Please
It is,
take
I am, right now
No,
I'm
please
talking
take your
about the
seat.
paddle boards.
Please take your seat. Please take your seat. Someone else will comment on the resolution.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
David Shack, 302 C Street. Hello. Two things. First of all, you know, this paddleboard resolution, I guess at this point we could call it anything but routine. So I would respectfully ask that you separated from the consent agenda and have a separate vote on it, since it seems to be a matter of some contention that I think instead of just voting for all the resolutions all at once, that one should be voted on separately. Certainly it's not a routine thing as evidenced by what people were saying tonight. Now about the bids, we authorized spending 6.1 million. We appropriated 6.1 million total for the two pavilions. That's correct, right?
No.
The two bonds came to 5.8 million, right, and with the down payment.
Do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar? I mean, this really shouldn't be this difficult. Tell me, do you have any comments or questions on the resolution calendar?
Yes, I have a question about how we're going to accept the bid from Mazer, and if you'll let me make my point, please. The bid from Mazer was $6,145,000, but the total appropriated for this was 6.1 million, and also out of that 6.1 million, we've already spent, to my knowledge so far, over $332,000 paying Mazer's old bills for the design and for the prep work for these pavilions. So we're really only left with like 5.5 million or something like that. Yet the award we're going to give tonight is for 6.145 million. So it seems like there's a shortfall. If I'm wrong, you're nodding your head, Colleen. Please straighten me out.
Keep going. Do you have any other comments, questions?
Well, I'd like to know if we're going to award 6.145 million. You haven't said where the savings are going to come from these engineering changes. It seems like we don't appropriate enough money to build the pavilions, and we were assured over and over and over again this whole summer that was going to be the most it could possibly cost, and it looks like we're already over that, and they haven't even started yet. So that's my question.
All right, we're not over it. There's enough money to complete it. We're not awarding anything for $6.5 million tonight.
No, I didn't say 6.5 million. 6.145 was the total. For everything, it came out to.
No. Tonight, remember, we're talking about the resolution calendar tonight. You want to come back to public session, you can come back then. The resolution calendar, it is $5,450,000. That's the contract.
So we're only we're not authorizing for the extra work we're only just for the two pavilions themselves. So the decking is.
Before, we're not going to explain it.
Well, you didn't really explain it specifically. Like, is the decking part of this?
Already explained before. We're not going to explain it.
You won't tell me if the decking is part of the
I'll
bid.
tell you the same thing, because I'm not going to repeat ourselves. I mean, it's 8:20, and we've taken up a lot of time on things where, you can take a seat, sir. Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir. On the resolution calendar?
Yes.
Dan Scharfenberger, 20 Siegel Lane in Middletown, formerly of the Jersey Shore Partnership. And we are a nonpartisan, not-for-profit group that advocates for issues unique to the Jersey Shore and its communities. And tonight we offered the resolution increasing the Shore Protection Fund from $25 to $50 million. And the Shore Protection Fund, in existence since the 1990s, has done a fantastic job in giving local municipalities the resources needed to protect the vital infrastructure and the economy that the entire state really does depend on, especially down here in Belmar. But over the years, it has grown inadequate to the natural disasters that the people of this state and really the people of this town have really come to know all too well. Therefore, there is a bill in front of the New Jersey legislature that we have been working to hopefully see passed, that would increase the Shore Protection Fund to $50 million. So I want to thank Mayor Doherty for his support of the Shore Protection Fund. And I ask the governing body tonight for its undivided support to pass this resolution and to fulfill its utmost duty of governing and protecting its people. And so we hope to see that be done tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the work you guys do. It makes a world of difference.
Thank you.
Does that have anything to do with the dredging of the inlet?
No.
No?
No, this is purely pumping sand back up on stage.
You know, they're pumping the sand from the inlet onto Avalon. And it's all nice white sand. I don't know why they don't pump it back to 20th, 18th, 16th Avenue where it's red sand. We can take that nice white sand from the inlet and put it on top of our red
I
sand.
think that's the Army Corps of Engineers, right?
That's the Army Corps, so the federal dredge has different set of requirements that they're able to do.
Next time they talk to us, can we try and encourage them to pump it back to Belmar instead of forward north?
Absolutely.
I think Colleen has a conflict. Any other comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion of the resolution calendar.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I will offer the resolution calendar.
I'm going to be in agreement with some of these people. It's only January. Would we like to table that paddle board or pull it and vote on it separately? Because I'd like to talk about some of the concerns that Mr. Scudera brought up. I drove by the beach many times last year. I never really paid attention to the size of the sign or anything like that. It's only January. He's a resident. The other person that came to speak, he's the owner. So I'm kind of more concerned with Mr. Scudera's concerns than the paddle board people.
You want to make a motion to move it off the consent agenda?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. He's got to make that motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we pull it off of the consent agenda. Okay.
Councilmember Field-Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Redden?
No.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Council President, do you want to table it for today and not vote on it today?
I'd like to table it so we can discuss it. I'm gonna have to read up on the actual bid from last year and see what it entailed, and maybe bring it back for the next meeting.
Okay. You want to make that motion?
Okay, I make the motion that we table it for today's meeting and bring it to the first meeting in February.
Second.
Second that.
Councilman Field-Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Redden?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes. George, is that all good?
That's fine. Right. And you'd like me to take a look at the lease?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so with that removed from the consent agenda, I will now offer the consent agenda.
Councilman Field-Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
I just want to, about the yoga and the Zumba classes, it wasn't really talked about how many classes they have. Have they been increasing the number of classes each summer as the yoga and Zumba has gotten more popular? Because
No, we haven't seen that. When we work with them to establish their lease, they outline what classes they'd like to have. They've been good to work with. In terms of, you might remember from last year, some residents were unhappy about the volume of the sound, and we've worked with them to turn the speakers around and adjust the time of some of their classes so that they're not too early in the morning. Again, it all depends on who we get.
right,
But our past vendors have been very good to work with.
in our lease, do we limit the number of classes they can have?
Yeah, sure.
It is limited, or we can limit it
It says,
before?
it has the exact days and times that they're allowed to have the classes, and we've staggered them so that Zumba and yoga aren't there at the same time.
On the same day, or,
Right.
so Zumba and yoga can be on the same day?
No, I think the way it's set up now, they're not.
I think it's only one thing, but I can double check.
Okay.
I think the council president's fishing. He wants to know the days and times of Zumba for himself. He doesn't want us to ask it out. So, you want me to do that on your behalf?
I'll vote yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman
Zumba.
Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes, with the qualifying statement that I'm glad we're finally moving forward on the construction of 5th and 10th Avenue pavilions. It's pretty evident to me that as we go through this, there are going to be people who oppose us from the very beginning. They're going to continue to oppose us. They're going to probably try to nitpick at any and every little thing we do to rebuild these pavilions. I would advise them that we'll always be happy to hear from you, but you're more than likely just wasting your time because we are going to rebuild these. You had your chance. You wasted enough time. You wasted enough money. Stop trying to hold our town hostage. The voters spoke in November. You didn't win. You got to move on. Next are ordinances. First ordinance, first reading introduction, ordinance 2016-1. I will offer for first reading.
Councilman McNeil-Knopper?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next ordinance 2016-2, first reading and introduction. I will offer.
Councilman McNeil-Knopper?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Now is public session. Any comments, questions you like, please raise your hand. We can be called on. Come to the microphone. You get 5 minutes. Say whatever you like. Yes, Mr. Burke. Excuse me? Mr. Drews, you take a seat, please. Where?
One to open.
One of the open ones, please.
Tom Burke, 608 10th Avenue. I guess tonight, more than ever, I'm convinced that the decisions I make are based on feelings that I truly have. Since you announced that you're going to rent for freeholder, I had to move up some of my thinking on what I might want to do in the future. And I shipped my wife off this morning to the West Coast so that she doesn't have to hear this decision, and she will be surprised by it when she hears about it, and I won't have to deal with it for about a week, I guess. But after meeting later this morning, earlier this morning, with some of my advisors, I have decided that I will be, again, running for Borough Council this year. And some of the things I heard tonight just sort of reinforce my philosophy and why I'm doing it. And I just want to make it. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Peter Faro, North Boulevard, Belmar. I'd like to, while we have Mazer here, to ask the status of the environmental report that's being prepared with regard to the Lake Como pipe project.
Do we have a status update?
Yeah, I can certainly share, and Nick can correct me if I'm wrong in any way, shape, or form.
Is it
Very quick.
worthwhile, what I'm saying, is it quick or is it worthwhile to talk to Mr. Pyro after the
I
meeting?
can certainly talk to him after the meeting, but let me just, really quick, grant agreement is on my desk for signature, it was delivered by DEP. And Nick is making a great progress with the environmental case study, and we're gonna be done ahead of schedule.
Thank you. That's thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
And that is a project moving slowly. Yes, sir.
Actually, I went to the second weekend. I apologize, I forgot to welcome George. Well, George, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Mike.
Real quickly, just a quick question for the council. And I know we're supposed to kind of let you guys know in advance some of these types of questions, but I'm not asking for a very specific number. I'm just asking for a range. Within like $3 million, can anybody tell me what the outstanding debt of Borough Belmar is?
Total, you mean total, or after FEMA's reimbursement?
After
I mean, there's so many ways to answer that, or, you know, we don't know.
Okay.
You know, specifically, it's, after FEMA pays us all back, it's, Colleen, about 8 million, less?
If you'd like to email Colleen, or I think our audit, is our audit on the website?
There's a financial statement.
There's a financial statement, you can look down to the,
That's online right now?
it's been online for a while. Yep.
When was the audit date?
I don't know.
Whatever the last one is.
Yeah.
It's always.
That's that big thing we got like at the end of December? Oh, yeah.
Oh, so that says of year end this
Okay,
year?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks,
Thanks,
Eric.
Thank you very much.
It's really,
Any other public comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Did a check through the street.
That's fine.
Doing the rock
Oh, I'll just give you a second. Someone asked me before. Just following up on Mr. T-Beck's question. I've been checking the website for the investment statement that it always comes out like mid-January. Last year's came out, it was dated, the second week, January 14th or something. So actually I've been checking, I checked like 2 days ago for the debt limit statement, and it still wasn't up on the website. Is that going to be up soon? Or? Thank you.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Katrina Clapsis, B Street. My first comment is, I guess I'd like to ask a question of our new borough attorney. Hello.
Address all your comments and questions to the,
I'd like to know if that's a legal situation. And I'd like to know if we can email you to find out whether legally. Excuse me, but do I pay the taxes to the borough? Is this a horrible question to ask? When we have a legal question that you guys can't answer, and we need to ask a question, is it a terrible thing for us to ask the borough attorney?
if you have a legal question, you should contact an attorney.
When it's referring to the borough that I pay taxes in?
George McGill is not the attorney for any individual in this town.
Correct.
You want to pay him.
Correct.
He's paid through the taxpayers to be the attorney.
And I'm a taxpayer.
For the mayor and council.
Only.
For the mayor and council. If you want to be on the mayor and council, you got to put your name on the ballot, get more votes than other people, you come up here and you can ask all the questions you want.
That's extremely interesting. Okay, the next, I guess I have another question about the ordinance to do with the pay-to-play ordinances. Are we allowed to talk about that tonight, or is that?
Talk about whatever you like.
Okay. All right, I have a question about it. I'm a little confused about it, because when I pulled the ordinance with all the scratch-outs originally up, now there's a new thing here that's very, very long and lengthy. Could one of you guys explain to me what these changes for this ordinance are going to be? I would prefer, maybe not you, Mayor, one of our other council people to answer that question.
Basically, it's the ordinance without the scratch-outs.
What does that mean exactly,
In
Brian?
other words, what you read without the scratch-outs is on that list. So
But as a lay person who might not understand it, I'm asking you as my council person to explain to me exactly what those changes are going, how they're going to affect the borough of Belmar.
Well, that's why there's going to be a public session on it in the next council meeting.
So there will be a public session, and will you actually answer the questions? Because a lot of times when we ask questions, you say you're not going to answer those questions.
Well, it depends. You can answer your questions and we'll decide to answer them or not.
Is that democratic? Okay, I just find it interesting, Mayor, that you're running for freeholder.
Yes, I am.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And that all of a sudden these changes are made, and a lot of them have to do with the contributions coming from the county level. It seems very, again, because I maybe don't understand the changes to the ordinance, but the ordinance changes seem to be very beneficial to you personally in your run.
And sometimes serve too.
Pardon me? That's another thing that's very disheartening too. When we come up here and ask you guys questions and want to know things, get laughed at, we get ridiculed.
I'm laughing at him, not you.
Well, I know you're laughing at him, but he's laughing at me, which means you're laughing
I
at me.
apologize. I did not
Yeah.
laugh at you.
Yeah.
Clear.
So, and I don't understand why when we come up with questions, we're made to feel so uncomfortable, like we're doing something wrong. I really like to know that. I don't understand it. I don't understand the ordinance, and I find the ordinance just to be a very odd thing coming up when you're running for freeholder. That's what I'm saying. And if I'm not mistaken, I have...
Well, just to address that, we've talked about this changing the pay-to-play ordinance going back to sometime in the summer.
Right, and you pulled it
And we pulled
because
it,
there was a
and
lot of
we were gonna
brouhaha.
put it Sooner to the I think September, and I think at the recommendation or the request, correct me if I'm wrong, from the Republican council candidate, Tom Burke, he requested we not act on it, so we didn't act on it. So we're not acting on it now. If you think there's a giant conspiracy, then
No, I don't think there's a conspiracy. I think it's just a really great advantage for you in your run for freeholder. That when you ran for council, when you were rerunning in 2009, and you debated Jim Beam, you actually said that you love the ordinance, because I have the co-store article if anybody's interested in it, and you thought that it was a wonderful ordinance and that you think it should, all the transparency in the world should be out there. So I just find the changes to be very beneficial to you. Although, maybe we'll be happy when you go and run for freeholder, but, yes.
If it makes you feel any better, it's so hard to read that. I have trouble reading it. I think it's written the way a lawyer.
Well,
reads
isn't
it.
that, but Brian, that is my point exactly.
Yeah.
It's the law, and as a
I had to
layperson.
read it over and over and over
Okay,
again
so
until it's like, yeah.
then perhaps you can explain it to us. As if you have to, you're our council people, you're voting on this. We're asking you what it all means, because you're saying it's very difficult. We're not allowed to ask the attorney, we're not allowed to ask him any questions. So as our voted representatives, why can't you tell us in layman's terms exactly what those changes are going to be? Brian, Tom, can I ask Tom that question? He was going to answer me.
address questions from the chair.
Oh.
And I was saying, we're gonna have plenty of time, there's gonna be a public session, it'll be 2 weeks, you can read it, you can digest it, if you have any questions, I'm sure you could email our business administrator, and she can reply back to you on her time. If she has any legal questions, she'll contact the attorney. If you wanna get your own legal representation, knock yourself out.
I really don't want legal representation. I would like my voted officials to help me answer this question. So here's what I'm proposing, and I'm asking as a question. For the next meeting, when we do have public session, would one of you find people, break this down in layman's terms so that we, the voting public, can understand it? Is that asking too much? That's what I'm asking.
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you will. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions for the council? Yes, sir.
Gene Kramer, 4th Avenue. So you get 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, just address your comments, questions to the council, please. All right. Mr. Kramer, please sit down. Mr. Kramer, please sit
You
down.
were all being victims.
Mr. Kramer, please sit down or you're gonna be removed.
Removed by who? Or what?
So you did.
You're gonna
I
be
get
removed.
5 minutes, right?
Not anymore.
Come on,
Sit down or you're gonna be removed.
come on. Better than that.
Sit down or you're gonna be removed.
Like I said, we're all going to become bidders of, or victims of bitter pollution here.
Jim, I'll give you one more chance to sit
Fine.
down or you'll be removed. You're gonna be charged with disturbing or disrupting a public meeting. You understand me?
By who?
The police,
Where?
they're coming.
Saw what you did. Everybody else is going, saw it.
Jim, you're getting the last chance to sit down or it's gonna be a
I
problem.
think what we're all realizing is it doesn't make, it's a waste of our time to address the mayor and council.
Gene, this is gonna be the last time you address this mayor and council.
Plus the cameras over there, Mayor.
You understand me?
Excuse me?
This is gonna be the last time you address this mayor and council.
You're better than them, Jean. Sit down. Thank you. God bless you.
Unfortunately, I can't share the image that Jean showed us, but rest assured, he will not be called on again in the public. Any other comments, questions for the public, from the public? Yes, sir. You may state it. You don't have
Bill
to.
Strauss, 1218.
You can sit down, Mr. Strauss.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
You
thought
can speak.
Sorry.
No, you can sit. You can speak while you're sitting.
No, I can stand. I just
Oh.
don't. 1218 Oakwood. I'd like to know if there's any way I could volunteer to work on your campaign for freeholder.
No.
No?
He'll be sorry.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public meeting and adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody who wants to sponsor me for ALF?